everyone, this is Blakely Waldrop
Madeline Langley,
and Jenna Kennard.
and we are going to be talking to y'all about tips for beginning educators. So today we are talking to y'all about behavior, classroom management, motivation, and assessments, and how they all go hand in hand, not only in the individual classrooms, but also school-wide. Through our field experiences, we have all picked up a few simple tricks to help the classroom experience run more smoothly. Some of these topics will be going into a deeper psychological level and have more under the surface than that is shown. Behavior. Behavior is something that will always be a factor when students are involved. Although I have not found a way to crack the code to eliminate behavior completely, I have found that where the behavior is coming from can be a vital clue as to how to deal with it. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory widely known amongst educators, and it sometimes can be a key for understanding your students. In the hierarchy of needs, there are 5 different levels to the pyramid. As you can see at the bottom of the pyramid, you have your basic psychological needs like food and shelter. Then you have safety needs like security and a place to stay in. Then the feeling of belongingness and love, and then self-esteem. And finally at the top you have self-actualization, which is how the student or person feels about themselves. So an example of this would be if a kid did not eat breakfast that morning and they come to school hungry, then they will not be focused on their classwork. They will become focused on how hungry they are. This could cause them to act up or have an angry or sleepy attitude. For a teacher to see a kid angry or sleepy, rather than getting onto them, maybe ask them some questions like, what is going on? Why do you think you feel this way? Through communication with your students, the truth will be unveiled that the student did not eat breakfast, which is why they may be acting this way. So instead of a teacher isolating the student or ruining their day, a quick snack could be a simple fix that helps both the students and the teacher. Moving on from behavior itself, we can transition into technology and how it can be used for behavior management. In my field experience, I have seen Class Dojo being used within student classrooms. Class Dojo is a way for students, teachers, and parents to all be on the same page with behavior. The teacher can award or take away dojo points for any specific things, like talking out loud or being out of your seat. Or you can be awarded for things like helping your friends, being on task, and things within the same nature. Behavior is the way it is managed goes hand in hand with our next topic of classroom management, which Madeline will be talking with y'all about.
Classroom management is vital to creating a successful classroom. As an educator, there are 2 necessary things you must do to have effective classroom management. First, you must set clear expectations and establish a well-structured routine for students at the very beginning of the school year. And our second tip for classroom management is to build strong relationships with each student. As a future teacher, it is vital for you to know the importance of thoroughly explaining the expectations, routines, and rules for your classroom during the very first week of school. Once students clearly know the classroom expectations, then you can use tools and methods in the classroom to enforce those expectations. One example of this that I saw out in the field is the bouncy balls method for controlling noise level, as that is a huge part of creating a good learning environment for students. A first grade teacher explained to me that on the first day of school, she talked to her students about respecting one another, themselves, and her, the teacher. She explained to them that one way they can do this is to be silent and use the appropriate voice level during certain parts of the day. She then showed them bouncyballs.org. This website has bouncy balls, and when the students get loud, they move all around and words such as too loud or shh pop up on the screen. For her class, this has been a great way to control noise level and is one of her most effective classroom management tools. Also, building relationships and getting to know your students is of great importance. Students need to feel like their teacher cares for them and wants them to succeed. As a teacher, ways to build these relationships include getting to know the students' interests, telling the children about yourself and what you are like, and taking the time to make each individual student feel loved. You should build that relationship first before the disciplining can begin, and when students know you care for them, they are far more likely to make good choices and participate in class, which allows classroom management to become easier. This brings me to the theory mentioned in Chapter 8 of the Educational Psychology textbook written by Kelvin Seifert and Rosemary Sutton. The theory explains that an effective teacher performs good classroom management by being both warm and demanding, while still having the main goal of being the authoritative teacher. In my experience, I was able to see how, as a teacher, you must be warm and kind to your students so that they will like you, while still being demanding to let them know that you are serious about the classroom rules. The famous quote from Rita Pearson says, "Kids don't learn from people they don't like, and and I fully believe this after seeing the way students respond to teachers that they genuinely feel like care for them. Overall, the best tip I can give you for good classroom management is set clear expectations for students at the very beginning and to also build relationships with each student to help keep them motivated, which Blakely will now talk to you about.
Motivation. Motivation is another huge contribution to the school environment. Adeline talked a little bit about routines and how that it is necessary for classroom management. Routines can be seen as a double-edged sword within the classroom because this does not mean to use the same assignments every day or even the same style of assignments every day. This can become boring for students. Making assignments fun for students can be as simple as adding their names into problems that you guys are going over, or even finding their individual interests can help. Incorporating different style books about different sports, dances, activities are also important and can help the student be more engaged with reading. But something that I noticed in my placements were how my teachers provided books full of different ethnicities, heritages, and cultural backgrounds. This is what motivated my students to read. They love seeing themselves or their friends in the story. Another thing I noticed within my placement was the question of, just because it is fun, does that mean that they are getting the material? In my experience, my school was very heavy on the parties. The reward parties, the reward gifts, the goals, and all of that jazz. Meeting specific goals in the school or classroom would be set. But does that mean that every student is grasping the material? What about the students that never make it to the goal parties because they have not met their goals? How can we help those students become motivated for something that they see as not obtainable for them? What about the students who do not find the parties as fun? How can we help motivate those students to learn? I have found that this is not a simple answer, and honestly, I have not found the answer to it quite yet. But what I can say is that paying attention to each student and what excites them will help you as the teacher find their motivation. The more motivated to learn your students are, the better their behavior, the smoother their classroom flows, and the better the assessment scores look.
For this section, I will be discussing assessments. You as a teacher need to ensure the assessments you give are high quality. High quality assessments include validity, reliability, and are free of biases. Validity refers to the use of the assessment being justified. When asking yourself if an assessment is justified, you should ask, does the assessment cover the content it is supposed to? Are the parameters the same for each student taking the assessment? Making sure you address these questions first will ensure validity in the assessment. The next characteristic of a high-quality assessment is reliability. Reliability refers to ensuring the consistency of measurement. This includes making sure you are giving the assessment at the same time for all students and have a similar test format. Without consistency, confidence in the outcome will be low. Obviously, you will not be able to guarantee perfect reliability because of unknown factors that come up, such as students being absent. Lastly, high-quality assessments are free of biases. Biases include offensiveness and unfair penalization. Offensive attributes to a test could include showing all immigrants as Latino or African American instead of showing them as natural-born Americans as well. These can be distractions that will distort their test performance. Unfair penalization occurs when teachers assume students have a knowledge of something when they don't. For example, if a teacher asks a question about football, some Latino students may think you are referring to soccer because this sport is called football in other countries. This would cause them to possibly answer the question incorrectly. Making sure that you have done your part to eliminate biases and have reliable and valid assessments will help ensure student success. In my field experience, my cooperating teacher uses an application called Bottle. Bottle is a computer program through Clever that is customizable for the teacher. The educator can create assignments and click the topics they are currently covering in the classroom. The teacher can also customize how many questions of each topic are given. This is beneficial if a student is struggling with a particular concept. The teacher can assign that student with more of those questions to support them in that content area more. The application tracks the student's progress and helps the teacher understand what the students are struggling to grasp. Bottle makes the content interesting and is more like playing a game to make the content more engaging. Now, How do behavior, classroom management, motivation, and assessments all fit together? Without positively motivating your students to do well in class, and specifically on assessments, and without simultaneously keeping morale high, behavior begins to decline. Thus the need for a reliable and proper classroom management plan. Class Dojo, for example, helps with this tremendously by rewarding points to students and communicating effectively with parents. You cannot solely rely on technology, however. Building relationships with students and providing them with a positive support system is also vital. We thank you for joining us for this presentation and hope you enjoyed our success tips for beginning educators. Thank you.